What happened in Kashmir was absolutely horrific, and you need to hear about it. Over 28 innocent people, mostly tourists, were murdered while trying to enjoy a peaceful trip in the mountains. The attackers, you guessed it, Islamic, and the way they chose their victims is something out of a nightmare. They forced people to strip down to check if they were circumcised. They demanded people recite verses from the Quran, and if they couldn't do so, they were executed on the spot. This wasn't just terrorism, it was religious persecution, and it's pure evil. No one should ever have to live in fear because of their religious beliefs. I stand with my Indian brothers and sisters. This hate has to stop.
They asked for names and religion. Then they opened fire. This happened in Pahalgam, a peaceful hill town in India's Jammu and Kashmir, a region in the north of India controlled fully by the Indian government. 28 innocent tourists were slaughtered by radical Islamist terrorists. Why? Because most of them were Hindu. This wasn't just another terror attack. This was religious cleansing, a deliberate attempt to wipe out Hindus from Kashmir. The terrorists, dressed in Indian army uniforms, they were calm, calculated, and deadly. They approached the tourists in what's known as India's Switzerland, a stunning mountain valley where families were vacationing. The attackers asked for names, then religion. Some tourists were forced to recite Islamic verses. Those who couldn't were shot in the head. A newlywed husband, a father with his children, a tech worker, an Indian Navy officer, all murdered for being Hindu in their own country. Now let me ask you this. Where is the global outrage? It takes the world 5 seconds to condemn Israel for defending itself against radical terror. But when Hindus are executed for their faith, suddenly everyone forgets how to speak. No protests in Pakistan, no outrage in Muslim countries. Only India lit candles. Again, let's be clear. These attackers were not freedom fighters. They were extremists, brainwashed with hatred. They were fed decades of lies. Lies that paint Hindus as occupiers in a land they've lived in for thousands of years. These same lies have created sympathy for terrorists and turned the victims into villains. And this wasn't just an attack on people. You have to understand this. This was an attack on identity, on the Hindu presence in Kashmir, on the unity of India. And it's not new. In the 1990s, Kashmiri Hindus were forced to flee their homes as Islamist terrorists targeted them and their children. The world stayed silent, just like now. In 1999, India was defending itself against Pakistan during the Kargil War. Most nations stayed neutral, but Israel stood with India. Israel proved it wasn't just a friend, it was a real ally. And what now? Another United Nations committee, another speech about both sides? Or are we finally going to say the truth out loud? There cannot be peace with people who glorify murder. Kashmir doesn't need more appeasement. India and Israel are fighting the same war, not just against terrorists, but against an ideology that celebrates murder, one that hates freedom, one that negates our right to exist. Whether it's Hamas in Gaza or Lashkar and Hezbollah in Kashmir, it's the same evil, and it must be crushed. It's time to stop pretending, it's time to stop apologizing, and it's time to start defending your temples, your families, your right to exist. Because Kashmir belongs to India. Bharat will not bend, Bharat will not forget. Share this message. Don't let their deaths be just another headline. Speak, stand, resist evil.
In regards to the terrorist attack that took place in India earlier today, the president has been briefed by the National Security Advisor, and he's being kept up to speed as more facts are learned. What we know already is dozens were killed and even more were injured in a brutal terrorist attack in a popular tourist location in South Kashmir. President Trump will be speaking with Prime Minister Modi as soon as he possibly can to express his heartfelt condolences for those lost, and our prayers are with those injured and our nation's support for our ally India. These types of horrific events by terrorists are why those of us who work for peace and stability in the world continue our mission. So we'll give you a readout of that call later this afternoon. There's a lot of work to be had. You may hear from the president later this afternoon as well, and we'll see you all later. Thank you.